What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Screenwork Entertainment. We are the two angry brothers discussing the new hit show on HBO, The Last of Us. So I played this game when it first released back in 2013, and man, I was like completely captivated. I love the game, I love the story. It's one of those few games that really just draws you in, and I cannot believe this show did the exact same thing. It brought those feelings back when I first played the game. Actually seeing the game live on the TV, wow. I was amazed. I was shocked. It's something else. And like, I could not believe how the detail, the clothing of Sarah, wearing the exact same clothes as the character in the game. Joel, wearing the exact same clothes. Tommy, he sounds identical, even though it's not the same actor, different actor. It sounds identical.
What's cool about Tommy, and not Ellie, but Joel's actual daughter, Sarah, Tommy and Sarah are actually father and daughter in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's his actual daughter.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And I was really worried, because how many video game movies or TV shows do we know that they just suck? Like all of them. Besides the original Mario Brothers. That show's awesome. That movie's awesome. So one thing I was like really impressed on. So the opening of the game and the opening of the show, it's very similar, but in different ways. It's very creative. I love how you have the two professors talking. They're both kind of like, you're full of shit. And the other one is like, no, I'm not. You're full. I liked it.
I played the opening scene of the game, and that's where it does show that, and it does show the house. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't show the breakfast scene.
No.
And it doesn't show anything about it doesn't show anything about them talking about the biscuits or whatever when they get in the car. No. And that is what I like about the show. There's so many small details that you do not get in the game. Like, for example, you only get Joel and Ellie's perspective mostly throughout the game. Sometimes Tessa's point of view as well. In the show, you're actually getting more of Tessa's point of view than you are in the game. And that's what I really like about the show, is you're getting more perspective. It's giving, because in the game it'd be like, oh, this is what happened to me or whatever, this happened. But in the show it actually shows you and actually brings you into that spot. And you didn't get that in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like the neighbor, whenever the neighbors turn and one of them's trying to attack Ellie. No, I'm sorry, not Ellie, Sarah. Well, in the show, we actually get a little bit of, and we actually get to see them. And they actually talk to them. We get to see a little bit about them. So whenever they are turning and trying to attack Sarah and Joel, it has that much more of an impact.
And I can see the real aspect of it. What I find really interesting about the whole fungus infection is the fact that if you see the older lady in the wheelchair and how the dog can tell that the animals know something's up, something's wrong. Okay?
Yeah, no, that was cool.
And the really cool thing about it is when this fungal infection takes over, she can't walk. She's in a wheelchair. The thing about it is this fungus is so smart that it can rewrite your brain and fix all the problems that is in your brain, but it also takes your brain with it.
Yeah.
So not only are you better, you can walk now. It's super evolutionary, but in a bad way. Because, if you could take the aspect of the fungus just fixing the part of the brain and not taking the brain with it, you could do, there's a lot of, it's almost limitless what you can do.
Yeah.
And that's what I found really cool about this, infection, is the fact that you could see that.
I like the way it looked coming out of her mouth.
See, that's another thing, is you could see that the infection is it's real inside of them. It's growing inside of their body. Mm-hmm. Like it's not even just like contaminating their brain. Like it is physically trying to bloom inside of their body, which is insane. And you see it later on in a few scenes later on where there's a you see in the background of our video right now, you know, how it attaches itself. Like once I feel like it's done with the host, it blooms and just like,
yeah, it does. That's what it does. It like blooms and it releases pores into the atmosphere
so is
for the next person.
that was my next question, because it doesn't say it in the show. Is it an airborne as well? Like how can
according to the podcast, they did not go with the airborne thing because they thought it would be too unrealistic. That means everyone
would be dead.
And exactly. Everyone would have to be in the game that it is airborne. They have to wear a mask, and it's mostly airborne in like enclosed places like homes, businesses, you know, places like that where you go in, you have to wear a mask.
But it's the same thing with the COVID epidemic. Like if you're out in the open, you don't have to be as close to. I mean, you can be closer to someone, but if you're inside a closed area, you need to stay at least 6 feet apart. You know.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so you know that part with coming out of her mouth, it's not in the game. That's completely new to the story, and they did a very good job. Like I did not. That's the one thing you're always afraid of is them tweaking the story, but not knowing about the story, tweaking it their own way, but not adding more lore to it, more detail. That's what we want, more detail, you know, about the things that we love. You know, not just add your own version that makes no sense at all. Putting a baseball where we're playing basketball, it doesn't make no sense.
Well, you can tell that the directors, the writers of the show, actually played the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually studied the story.
Yeah, I was really worried about the cast. You know, whenever I first saw who played Joel, I was like, you know what? I like that guy.
He looks so much like the actual character.
He looks pretty close. I was like, you know what? I like it. He's also on Game of Thrones. But I was also kind of worried about Ellie because in the game she is very smart mouthed. She's always making witty comments because she's not used to. I mean, she doesn't know anything about the old world. She has a lot of questions, you know, and they portrayed her very well in that first episode. The questions she asked Joel, and the things she says, the kind of snarky things she says. I was down. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, she's kind of a rebel, and you know, given the circumstances, I completely understand.
Yeah, I wish she looked more like the character, to be honest. But
I agree. I mean, she doesn't look too far apart from the actual character, but it doesn't look as close as Joel looks.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, like I love the game. I played it. You know, even the remasters, I played them all. And I was really curious how they're going to do the opening. And I loved how they did the opening, especially when they're going through on the truck. You got Sarah, Tommy, and Joel. And that's a really hard opening to accomplish. They did an excellent job. The only thing that was like majorly different from the game itself is they get into an accident. But in here, what's really cool is like they tease the accident, but they don't do it. Like they get away. Like the truck's about to hit them. You're like, oh God, this is where the accident happens. But no, they get away, which is I liked it. I thought it was awesome. I was like, it did not upset me at all. But it's basically the same outcome, but in a different way. And then whenever they're running through and you have I don't remember the name of it, clickers or something. I don't remember the actual name of the zombie type people. The actual name of them, but whenever they're running after him, you really feel a sense of dread. Like, you know, he's got his daughter in his arms, he's running as fast as he can, and this guy's just getting closer and closer and closer.
Well, one thing that I noticed about this, you have two different types of zombies typically that you see in modern day movies and lore. You have the slow zombies, and you have the fast zombies. And the reason why I feel like we have the fast zombies here is because, hence what I was talking about prior to this, about how it takes over your brain and it fixes it. It fixes whatever part of your brain is bad, and it makes it to where you can use full 100% of your human ability to that. So for example, say you can't run that fast. Well, you're going to be able to run as fast as you possibly can, like capable as a human, you know what I mean? Because that's what it does to your brain. It enhances, I feel like, your brain to its full capacity, whether it be negative or positive, you know? But that's why I feel like we get the fast zombies now, is because it's enhancing that aspect of your brain and it's letting you go full force.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with that. So at the very end of this scene, you know, that's whenever, you know, the cop there, he's told to kill both Joel and Sarah.
I think that's a National Guard, honestly.
Or National, yeah, whatever he is. Yeah, I think it's National Guard. He's told to kill both of them because he thinks Sarah's been bit, but she hasn't. She just, was injured. But so he fires and shoots her, and it's pretty heartbreaking scene. Her dying in Joel's arms, that broke him completely.
Yeah,
100%.
That was really messed up. I agree. And I was going, like, as I watched the show, I thought that was the key to why he changed so much later on. But I don't think that's what it is. I think that is an aspect of it, but I don't think that's the full reason why Joel turns into this quote unquote monster that we get later on.
Well, it's
complicated.
It kind of is like it kind of is.
That's what I'm saying. It's not
it's
just
the start.
Exactly. It's his daughter dying isn't the full reason why he turns into this monster, but it is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So shortly after the scene, it pans to this kid walking through the town. He's got these sneakers on. I don't know if he's got these nice shoes on. Nice,
like a reddish shirt.
Yeah. He's walking through the town trying to get to the Fedra encampment. Finally gets there. He falls over. They bring him in, and the Fedra makes it seem like they're taking care of the boy. They're like, oh, we're gonna do all this stuff,
man.
But they end up killing him because
they've been telling him like, we're gonna give you this little shot where you're gonna get to eat, you get to do all this stuff, and he's like, yay.
Yeah, but the shot is poison.
Yeah, because he was tested positive.
Yeah,
for the virus, and we see. Because you're not really for sure. You don't know that he dies, the boy, until we see Joel carrying a child wearing the same clothing. He got a bag over his head, of course, and he just emotionlessly throws him into another like grave or a mass grave or something.
It's a mass burning grave, a mass grave burning.
So even though 20 years have passed, you really see the difference in Joel compared 20 years like before, whenever he's with Sarah, and then now. The environment he's in, you can see it in his eyes.
Well, and that's what I was saying previous about how not only did his daughter die affect him, but there's something else. There's another element that has changed him. Other than the societal collapse that it's not telling us. It hasn't showed us. Yeah. It's hinting to it, but it doesn't give us the full answer. So it's just like, what else has happened in the past and over the 20 years of his daughter dying that really changed him into this hitman-esque person? Because that's exactly kind of like, he's like that emotionalist hitman kind of character. Yeah. That's the vibes that I get.
He's definitely emotionless. Like when he's throwing away the child into the mass grave, you can see right there in his eyes. But since now we're 20 years later, he hasn't seen his brother in, I think he said, over 3 weeks. His brother's been missing, right? And he normally contacts him every day. So he's looking for a battery that I guess Tess sold to someone or to Robert. So yeah, they're looking for Tommy, and they're looking for the battery that I guess they bought, but somehow they lost. And that leads them to the Fireflies, where we see Ellie. So when we see Ellie for the first time, she attacks Joel, and then Joel just throws her out of the way. No big deal. She's no threat to him. Then whenever Marla is saying, I have a job for you, I need you to bring her to this location. He pretty much looks at Ellie just as luggage. Like she's not that important. She's just luggage.
Because he doesn't know anything about her.
No, of course he don't. But that's just how he looks at it.
But we know from what it has shown us, or at least I hope you put this together, that Ellie is the cure.
Yeah.
Ellie is the cure. And that's why she is so important. That's why she says that her men would risk their life and everything to get her to point A to point B.
It's true. And yeah.
Why else would the whole rebel organization risk everything to transport one little girl if she's not the cure?
Yeah, and they don't know anything about her yet. He even asked, "What are you, like some bigwig's daughter or something? What are you? Why are we doing all this?" And then she
even says something like that.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool. Like when they're traveling, when they're going through, You're going through this big storm drain. And that's like a scene straight from the game. That was awesome. I loved it. I was like, wow, it's like I'm there. It's like I'm watching the game on the TV. Loved it.
I really want to play this game. You should really.
It's an amazing game. So like before they even get to Ellie, we do see something really cool that is also in the game. Is the picture you see in the background? That's such a cool scene. It looks so ridiculous. I thought it was awesome.
It says a lot about the infection. I feel like it gives a lot of detail about it without having to physically explain it. You know, they don't know if that person got infected down there or if he got infected above ground and he went down there. So it's just like, my question is, if he did get affected above ground, does when the infection is done with you and it's ready to, die, does it go below the surface to attach itself? Because it is a fungi and it needs dark, damp, moist areas.
Maybe that's why most of them are inside, when they're at that stage.
That's what I was thinking, because if you got to think about fungus as an actual, like, what the quality of fungus or what qualities fungus have in real life, and I feel like incorporate that to the show, because you don't just see mushrooms growing above ground in the middle of the day. It's typically happens at night is when all these things happen.
Very true.
In dark, damp, places. So,
and that just gives us a little glimpse of what we get to look forward to, later in the season.
About with the infected?
Yeah, with the infected.
Yeah, the infected looks really unique. I've never seen zombies like this, and that's what I really like about it.
They're not technically zombies, but yeah, they're like mindless machines.
They're zombies. That is what a zombie, like, if you look up the definition of a zombie, that's what it is. They're not your typical old school lore zombie, and they're new, but it's a host.
Yeah, it's a host.
It's a host, so it is a zombie. So what I find interesting with Joel and Tess's character is how much control Tess has over Joel. And you can kind of see that in order for Joel to reel back and take, he needs Tess. He needs Tess to guide him, because like I said, this man has experienced some really bad trauma. And I feel like that trauma has taken over him, and Tess is the only thing that can reel him back. Yeah,
I mean, we see that at the end whenever he's beating that guard to death. And what's funny is we see Ellie, she's just like, wow, damn, go, Joel, go.
And that's difference. Like, you can see the difference in Ellie and Sarah. What happened when Joel beat that lady to death, or just hit that lady with a wrench?
She was crying.
Sarah was freaking out. So you can kind of see, and that's typically any response of a 12, 14-year-old girl, like they're gonna have that kind of response.
Yeah.
So for Ellie not to have that response, it's like, that's a little weird.
She's like, yeah, this guy can get me across the state line.
Well, I just feel like it says a lot about Ellie and her character and how different she is from any normal teenager.
Yeah, very different. Well, I mean, growing up in that kind of situation, you're gonna be different.
Yeah, but Ellie is unique, and you can see it.
Yeah, and at the end, we kind of get to know why she's unique. She shows them that she's been bitten 3 weeks now, and she's okay. Yeah. And of course, they don't believe it at first, but I'm highly impressed. Highly impressed. You know me. I am not easily impressed. The show is the next big thing. It shows up there with House of the Dragon, with Andor, with all of it. All of it. I'm telling you. I'd
even say it's up there with Let the Right One In too, because it's just...
Yes. Let the Right One In. Yes. It is. This show is really good. And HBO, they hit it out of the park with this one. They hit it out of the park.
Well, you can see they did their homework, and I'm very glad. I mean, I feel like nowadays when they're tackling a show that's become a game, or anything like that, if you don't do your homework, it's not gonna turn out very well. You're gonna get a lot of really upset fan base. So they're going about this the correct way, and I feel like they're gonna make a lot of people happy, and that's why we're gonna get a returning audience for episode 2.
So this is one of the few times where we actually agree on a show or a movie. So I'm not actually angry. He's not actually angry. It's actually a good show. It's really awesome. If you haven't checked it out, it is on HBO Max. That's why I watched it on. If you haven't played the game, by God, start playing that game. Anyways, we appreciate you watching. Peace out.